Hello, greetings and salutations. Holy snow! The city is shut down. I get to enjoy a day off and be snowed in. Oh man, we've been pummeled. Yeah, look at this. We've been pummeled. This is going out to get the mail. Got to get the mail. Something tells me it's not going to be delivered today, but what can you do? That's it. But yeah, we've been pummeled with snow here in Buffalo, and it's been quite the adventure. So thanks to all who are able to be here for the special midweek live. But before we go anywhere, let's grow the BFC. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and check out our Discord by clicking the Patreon link in the description. And don't forget the merch. A lot of you guys have been buying, and the feedback has been amazing. So I hope you guys have been enjoying that. And I have not forgot about the people that have won shirts. I'll be sending those out in the next couple of weeks. So be expecting a delivery from the BFC. Okay, the reason we are all here, please welcome back to the BFC Impact Fusion International CEO, Mark Walther. Bring him in. Mark, welcome back to the BFC. Happy New Year. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. A little snowed in, but now actually you've had some snow out where you are. Actually, Rob, pull up the picture of I call this the snow cattle. Check this out. Where's this at?
That's at the ranch that we use in Jefferson, Texas. And I visited there about a week ago, and there was no snow. And now there's lots of snow. And the key point is that the cattle don't leave until the food is gone.
That's very, very good. That's very good. And is the rumor true that in the state of Louisiana there is only one plow? I don't know.
I don't think there is even one plow. So if they have to remove snow, which they don't get too often, they use front loaders. So imagine we'll be tapped for that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, at least you don't got this problem. You guys have a whole other set of issues with hurricanes down there. So you know what? I'll take the snow. I'll definitely take the snow. Now, you guys just put out a PR today. It was a very meaty PR. Let's just get right into this. Describe. You talk about the new delivery methods. Describe why the new delivery adjustments that you guys have made, why it's so significant to farmers and customers.
Well, it was always critical to me in any business I've been involved in, is that if you say, well, the customer pays the freight, and so it isn't really your problem, it is your problem. So you've got to come up with the most effective way to ship something. So I started researching, because we were shipping with dump trailers, which is traditionally what we get the bagasse in with. And we also, they're 90 yards, they're huge. I've got pictures of a loaded one on our Twitter feed, but it's 11,000 pounds. And I want to be able to take a flatbed truck, and I want to be able to deliver 40,000 pounds. So how do I do that when I don't have an enclosed compartment? And so what I did is I searched all over the country for a better way. And I came up with an adaptation to our machine, to our main press, and we're the only ones doing it, that I could actually bag a bale at 2,200 pounds. And when I bag it, I can seal it and then put it up for shipment same day. I can produce 35 an hour. So I don't have to run around and carry a big inventory. I can carry a very basic inventory and make it into what the customer orders. So as we have in the letter to the shareholders, we basically have a just-in-time system. So whatever you want to order, do I have it? Yeah, I got it. Just give me about an hour, and I can load up a flatbed. Now, what's the real key to that? It's cost per pound. If I take a dump trailer, it's not only 11,000 pounds, but I have to pay for both ways. And in any shipping business, if you take something somewhere, you got to pay for it coming back, unless your trailer is adaptable enough to get other loads, and then you worry about it. And you can't do that with a dump trailer. There aren't a lot of uses for dump trailers that can go back and forth. So take any location, let's just call that X, and it costs $2,000, and I can deliver 11,000 pounds to that location. Well, I pay for the trip going there and the trip going back. So I got to cover the full 2,000, or the customer has to cover it. It's all the cost of doing business with us. Now, if I take a flatbed which can handle 40,000 pounds, and I can bail it and strap it on the truck, and I can take it there. I pay one way and one way only. So now I've cut the cost down. In some cases, it's less than half. And so the cost per pound goes way down. So my goal was to be able to ship anywhere where you can ship alfalfa or hay. So now we can ship anywhere in the country. There's no place we can't ship competitively. If they can ship hay and alfalfa competitively, so can we. And we have a better product.
Well, it's funny because one of the questions that we had from one of our viewers last time you were here was, can you ship it to Michigan or can you ship it to New York? So now you're saying at this point you can ship anywhere in the United States.
Well, I guess that person can answer that question. If I can reduce the cost from 0.182 per pound with a dump trailer, and I can reduce that down to 0.014 per pound, and I can ship you 40,000, not just 11, but 40,000.
Wow.
Which would you take?
You're talking it's cheaper for shipping and you're getting more product.
Get more product. You get
Wow.
almost 4 times more product. So it was really crucial for me to come up with that connection. Otherwise, it would have made a long road for us. And so I had bags that are made up special for us. And I had our guys, we have a great team at our place. They altered the machine, and when that bale comes out, it goes right in the bag. And then we've got a roller system that it rolls out, and all you got to do is we got a clamp, just like my hands are doing. The clamp comes around from the forklift, picks up the bale, and puts it on the truck. So we can load a truck much faster. And then what I did is I took and I bought a belt-driven loading. It actually moves around on wheels, and I can load even a dump trailer. I can load that in about 15 minutes instead of 45. So so everything I've been doing in the last last 2 months has been working on better delivery, more cost-effective delivery, and the product is right where we want it. So it came down to cost-effective delivery, and again at 0.014 instead of 0.182. Which would you take?
Yeah, you're talking about a 60 to 70% reduction in time capacity.
Right.
I
That's
mean,
right.
and that is, the biggest commodity. The hardest one to get a hold of is time because there's only so much of it.
Mhm.
That's, if there's one thing that we all want more, it's hours and day. And so if you're reducing that by 60 to 70%, I could see why that would be extremely positive.
And now I can take and competitively bid for flatbed business. And as I've learned over the years is that it really every trucking company has its specialty of where it goes. It might have another company that they deliver to all the time, but they have no backhaul, or vice versa. So they're looking for a regular company like ourselves. When I go to a feedlot in Arkansas, you're talking about probably a big feedlot of 12,000 cattle. You're looking at probably 10 truckloads a week. And when I'm going to Amarillo, I'm looking at
12.
at one time I was figuring if I went by rail car, it was 34 rail cars a week. So now it opens up the market for us in a huge way. And it gives us the ability to increase our revenue, which is what it's all about.
Well, yeah, and when the more customers you get, you're going to have to find these little tricks and to be able to get your product out as fast as possible because something tells me that you're going to have to be producing a lot of this year. When you talk about shipping and stuff, and I'm not a professional when it comes to shipping and trucking or any of that stuff. But what can you explain in regards to the overall cost of what it is? And you've talked about the reduction that you've made. But if you had to use other providers, I mean, you're talking about a substantial amount of cost, probably much more than the reduction that you're telling us. I would think
Well,
if a third party's doing it.
Yeah, if I understand your question, what I really wanted, I wanted to create competition. Because you go around, you look for a dump trailer. Not a lot of companies have that. It's very specialized for bagasse and for sugar. And so now, if I can open up the competitiveness, then I'm going to have people lowballing to get our product to go where they want to go, where we want them to go. So when I'm going to anywhere in the United States, I can now do it as competitive as anybody else can. So my key right now is to be able to take that off the table and make that an equation that works. But now I have to let all these companies try it to see that it is a better product. This is a better product. It is exactly what we say it is. And if I can do that, then I can raise the cost per ton from 120 to 150. I mean, you got a lot of places in the country that hay is going for, if you can get it, it's going for $200, $250 a bale. And when you talk about alfalfa, same thing. And it is, so as we show that we are a better product, you do get weight gain better than any other product. And the simpleness of this product is incredible. 80% SGP plus and 20% crude protein, period. You don't need hay. You don't need any minerals. You don't need nothing. It's very simple. And you can reduce your costs like we've shown many times, and it's in this letter to shareholders. We've reduced many of them down from $3.40 a head per day, $3.45 to be exact, down to 45 cents. Tell me what businessman who doesn't understand that. So we've got
huge profit margins.
We've got all the equations. Right, exactly. So it is. So it gives me a lot of momentum. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm the best salesman, and when I go out and I sell, I can sell, and people believe me, because if I didn't believe in what I was selling, you'd see it all over my face, and I couldn't sell it. And this product is so fun to sell. I mean, can you imagine the market's looking for no smell because of CO2? And we have that. The market's looking for no urine smell, and we have that. We already achieved that. They're looking for higher protein absorption in the small intestine. We do that. We're looking at the critical part was no flies. If you look at a cow and when flies are hitting it, you got to get in your truck because you're going to be covered in them. And you imagine the suffering that these cattle do. They go through tremendous suffering and disease because of the disease transfer of the larva. And when you see the cattle, and some of the videos I put up of the cattle at Jefferson Ranch or other places, they're very relaxed cattle. They're chewing their cud, and that means they're digesting. So here's the key. So if that rumen, which is the four stomachs, processes the material properly, and it presents it to the small intestine, no different than a human as far as small intestine goes, and it gets absorbed, then there's no waste coming out the other end. And there's more protein and other things, fats and so forth, that are going to get absorbed by that small intestine.
Nutrient absorption. And that's something that's not happening with our food these days, is nutrients being absorbed, because everything is processed at such a high rate. We're pushing chickens through, we're pushing cows through as fast as we can with this low quality, and the guys, the research is out there, low quality product. And so, this is something that we've talked about. I have a boatload of questions from Pat and Jess in LA. Let's start with, let's go right up to where Pat was talking about what revenue would be generated at 12 truckloads a week. He has a couple questions. I'll just throw them up there and you could just address them as is.
Well, if I understand the question, you're looking at, if I'm not talking about trucking, we're looking at probably $4,000 per truckload. And I can't talk about profit, but we would create revenue of $4,000 a truckload.
Okay. All right. Next question. This is Pat. Last time on the show, you talked about a potential joint venture with India And that was on my list of questions, so we could just discuss that now. Where is that now? How are things going with the India venture?
We're waiting for their container to come in, and the container is going through the Suez Canal. So when it gets here, then we'll process it. It'll take me about a day, and not even that. And we'll process it and send it back to them. And what I want them to do, anytime you're selling to somebody, you want them to understand the value. And that's what I'm trying to do with anybody that tries the product. That's why a lot of big ranchers will come in and they want super sacks. I know they use a lot more, but I understand what they're doing. They want to understand the value. So they'll put it on maybe 10 cows and give it a run. And if it does what I said it does, and you see it pretty quick. I mean, you basically see it the first week. In fact, the ranchers that run the plant also have cattle. And a lot of times when a customer comes in, I let them do the talking and tell them about what you're experiencing. So that's really where we're at with India. India is excited. They've got other countries coming to them that are customers for other products they have. And as soon as we validate that part of it, then I'm off to building a plant.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the exciting thing, because eventually you're going to be you're going to have to go to India to check out the facility and check out everything. It's going to be really amazing to be able to do that. Um, and I actually had a question in regards to once things sort of start going through with India, um, the location of the plant in relation to the refineries. There's a boatload of refineries in India, if I'm correct. You're basically going to be getting one of the main ingredients of your product at such a low cost because it's a waste product. Talk a little bit about the logistics as to where plant location and refinery location is in play in your head a little bit. Maybe you haven't gotten there yet, but in your mind, what do you see happening?
Well, one thing you'll see, and when I studied years ago about transportation in China, transportation in India, and so forth, the difference in India is they got a lot of waterways, and they really couldn't afford to build a roadway system like we have here in the United States. So what they do is they have waterways that they use, and the cheapest way to ship something is by barge. And even in the United States, that's the cheapest way. If I can ship it up the Mississippi, and it's the best way. And I'm not far from the Mississippi. I'm probably about a half hour from the Mississippi. And so if I look at the amount of sugar processing facilities in India, there are a lot of them, but they don't really produce at the rate that we do in the United States. We kick butt here in the United States. In Louisiana, there's 11 of them, and they do real well. In fact, I took them on a tour just to show them that what our sugar mills, what they do. So I see us building a lot of plants worldwide. That's my dream. And when we build those plants, it will be strategic to the source, because I have a lot of people say, why don't you build that up in Detroit? Well, that's because you got to stay close to your raw materials. And even though the bagasse is not the key to what we do, it's nutramastic, and the ancient formula that we have, it is, you got to stay close to your source. And that's, to answer your question succinctly, it will depend on the customer base and where we're getting our raw material. And all you can do when you start is start with one.
Yeah, and remember that, guys. When I was explaining this to somebody, and obviously I'm not as well versed as you, and so I was talking up IFUS and talking about Impact Fusion International and its impact on the cattle industry, and I talked about bagasse, and I'm talking about it. And so remember, guys, it's not like they're just taking bagasse and giving it to cows. All right, there's a whole mineral blend. There's a whole it's nutramastic. So that's just one part of the equation. It's a big part of the equation, but it's remember that we're not just taking the raw bagasse and giving it to cattle. There's a whole process involved that Mark here has literally mastered, and he's the only one that does it. Literally the only one doing it. So that is very unique. Let's talk to let's bring up Jazz in LA. How you doing, sir? Mark, any additional anecdotes to share from the Louisiana Cattlemen's Association conference?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. One of the things that makes change is desperation. So here we sit, and we got worldwide hunger going on with cattle, and it is bad in every area. So, and when you're looking at protein like soy and corn and I mean, can you imagine Ukraine produces 40% of the grain in the world? You see any farmers over there growing any corn or growing any grain? So even in India, they've quit shipping rice. They don't ship rice or rice hulls. They keep it for within their country. So when I see this start to happen, I start getting calls. So going back to Louisiana Cattlemen's, I put something up on Twitter a couple of days ago, and it was a map of the D4 drought that is going on in Louisiana. I mean, it's bad. Whoever thought you'd have grass fires in Louisiana? I mean, there's portions of Louisiana that, in fact, most portions of Louisiana, they're down 22 feet in the amount of water that they've not gotten. So I came together with a company that basically has it already had a booth, and then we ran a loop of our video that's on our website, and really we were waiting for customers to come and ask about the product, because one of the things that people say, oh, I've tried bagasse, doesn't work. Well, I'll tell you what, you haven't tried it with Nutramastic. You haven't tried our technology at all. And I'll tell you what, in bagasse, they'll pee on it, they'll poop on it, they'll lay on it, but they don't eat it. But I'll tell you what, when you give them Nutramastic or you give them SGP Plus, they'll eat it the first time and they'll be back every time. When you look at the videos that are at Jefferson test facility we have, they're standing there waiting for it to come out of the mixer. And then you immediately see number 3 cow pies, which tells you everything you need to know. That's the science. That's what science tells us when the digestive system is digesting properly. And then on top of that, you see no fly larvae in the cow pies. And there's a reason scientifically for that. So we started getting, there's an article that is in the letter to the shareholders that basically showed 2 ranches that were having trouble. And you can read that article for yourself, but they're both scheduled to come out to our place. And that's all because of our guys up in West Monroe. And so the word of mouth has been getting really accelerated. And I even had a guy come in that we're actually running with a dairy over there, and he heard from the dairy, and he came out and he got 2 super sacks. Why? He wants to try it on about 10 cows, and he'll see it quickly. But so I get a lot of that. So I stock a lot of super sacks for that reason. There are a lot of small ranchers that can't afford anything more than a super sack, and I understand that. But again, the key is I want the big guys. I want the big guys, and I can only do that if by developing what we developed that nobody else has, that I can take that technology and I can put it into a super sack and put it on a flatbed. So I see desperation being our biggest ally, unfortunately, because when you see the big eyes of a guy says, I don't know what my cattle are eating. I know they're out there, and no grass is growing. In fact, the Jefferson Ranch, the guy that owns that told me, he says, you know what, if it wasn't for SGP Plus, I would have to sell my 300 cows.
That's crazy.
I couldn't have kept them. And that's what's happening in the United States. We're no longer number 1 in cattle. We're number 4. Can you believe that? I'm proud of the United States, man. I don't want to be number 4. I want to be number 1. And there's no reason why we can't be. And if you look at the mountains of bagasse that are not being taken to a landfill because they can't afford it, there's plenty, and it renews itself every year. Those stacks they grow at an exponential rate of 20-25% per year, and they're huge now. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that. Well, I think that you're on the right path. I definitely think you're on the right path, and I like that idea of wanting to be number one. Because they're trying to eradicate the cattle industry. I think that sometimes they want to do that. I think people don't want that, and so you really have a viable, economical solution, cost-effective solution.
well, there's a key, Eric, that really I don't want to miss this one. I don't mean to interrupt, but when you mix SGP plus with manure, you have got the best fertilizer or the best. Like we got a test garden that our scientist runs, and he puts it around plants from roses to vegetables to whatever, and you put this around the plants, and the plants grow huge. He's got roses that are 3 times the size. He's got apples that are twice the size, and
Wow.
it's because we're putting the nourishment back into the plant that they weren't getting before. Because I was always told when you use bagasse as a mulch, it ends up choking the plant. Well, no, it doesn't. It makes it grow, and so it's a big thing. So when I went up to a place up in Iowa, they're getting hit by Greenpeace big time, and they had they have about, I would say, 8,500 cattle, and they want to grow. They got beautiful facilities, and they have looks like a swimming pool, Olympic swimming pool, 12 feet deep of cow sewage. And if they were to mix that, and they will be, mix that with our product, SGP Plus, they would have a revenue source. There wouldn't be a problem. You wouldn't have to worry about the aquifers because they wouldn't be down there that long enough to be out, and you'd be putting it in your fields.
Wow.
So we're finding more and more with our science staff is finding more and more products like oil absorbent, and I can go on and on. So an incredible product.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up some more questions here. This is remarkable stuff. I didn't even think about the home manure and the whole how you could use that, and these farms can use that,
Mm-hmm.
and they can make money back on their on using your product. It
Yeah.
really is. And I wrote down this little circle. By the way, guys, if I look down, it's because I'm taking notes. I take a lot of notes, and so it looks like chicken scratch, but I know what's going on that page. But it's very cyclical, and so that to me makes a lot of sense. Let's go to Sheik here. Do you need any financing to ramp up the actual production, or can you grow revs organically?
Yeah, that is a good question too, because most companies that have an idea usually choke to death, and we're not choking. And with the profitability that you have on this product, the key is to get all the machinery you need. Well, all the machinery we have, I've altered from stuff that ranchers use, and I had that advice given to me by another engineer. And so going forward, I don't think we're going to need anything that we can't produce revenue ourselves. And you can keep in mind, as the CEO of the company, I'm used to companies that I've owned in the past in multiple countries that you produce the revenue or you die. And so it's ingrained in my head. I have to create revenue. And so everything I do is creating revenue. That's why I do a lot of in cases I teach and do a lot of the work myself, because it helps me understand what needs to be done. So do we need a lot of revenue? I don't believe we do. From this point on.
Got it. All right. We have some more questions. I'm going to try and get through all these questions here. Michael Singleton. Mike, good to see you. Mark, any word on Nutrimastic? I want to get some for my health. And I know a couple of people that really want to try the product as well, too. So what do you have about that?
And that's another good question. You got a lot of good followers. But my goal is to get that made and ready for sale. And again, here's the CEO talking. 3 weeks, might be 4 weeks. Don't hold me to it. But I've even got the labels printed, and so this product is not easy to make, and I know how to make it, and we make it now, and I'm receiving a bunch of totes in that are from that manufacturer, and his next step is to start manufacturing bottles for us. So to make a long story very short, I want to start taking orders for Intact Digest and Intact Endurance and Intact Control, which is a capsule. I want to start taking orders for that in the next 3 to 4 weeks at the most.
That's excellent. That's literally right around the corner. I'm looking forward to it. And I know, a lot of secret ingredients. As long as we don't start mooing after we have it, I'm totally excited. I'm totally excited about it. So.
Yeah. Well, you'll find that your coat will be better. So.
Trust me, I need some. Hey, so let's get to Doc P here. Rumor is the customers using SGP Plus are getting prices a premium for their beef cattle they sell. So is that because of is that true? Is it?
Well, that's what they're telling me. In fact, even I'll go with one of our two of our guys that are in the plant, very experienced ranchers and experienced mechanics. They normally sell their calves at about 6 weeks. They actually sold them earlier, and they were 300 pounds heavier.
Wow!
So they got great money for it. And everybody asked, what is the where did you get the weight gain? And he told them. So I have a brochure that I made up for handing out to people, because we get so many people that are asking, what did you feed them? So now we got a brochure with a phone number, and it's got everything on it, and I'll post that up soon. So anybody that wants to take a look at it can. And if you know somebody that's feeding cattle, give it to them. Let them know that there is something. It's all American made, and it's American technology. It's a fun thing to sell.
You know what? And the one thing I know about you is that when you talk about your passion for selling and getting out there, especially this product, I know you have a passion for it. You've been on the show multiple times talking about it, and you travel all over the United States, going to these conferences, meeting people from all over. So, your passion bleeds right through, and we see it. And so I'm excited about this product. This is, it's been a long time coming, and I'm excited to see where you guys end up. I'm going to keep these questions coming on here. Pat has another question. We did discuss this on the last show. Any future college testing planned to support early science? And where'd it go? Where'd it go? Test results from the past and the results current users of SGP Plus are experiencing. So I know we said that there's a potential college study undergoing that is going to be in the works. So anything on that? I think that's what they're alluding to here.
There's a lot of stuff going on with that, but I can't talk about it until I have that secure. And but I do feel that we'll have something secure as it relates to that. Is there any results that current users are experiencing with SGP Plus? I think the thing that really stands out to me is the fact that we are breaking down lignin. And I know we've talked about lignin. I'll make this short. Lignin is what makes a plant stiff. And there's no plant that has more stiffness than bamboo. And what family do you think sugarcane's in? So to break that down is a tremendous protein source. And right now it's not being used. So that we've seen a lot of, our science team is found a lot of information that shows that we are. And I know that if you take simple things like no flies, which is incredible technology that we found out by accident, but you take no flies, there's something called furfural, and a fly will hunt for that when it's laying its larva. And if the furfural isn't there, then they don't lay the larva. So if they're not laying the larva because they don't smell furfural, where does furfural come from? It comes from the breakdown of lignin. So if you've got lignin, that protein that is left in the cow pie, and they find it, they're going to lay their larvae there. So now you got flies. But now finding that we don't have any flies. How is that? And so that's some of the stuff that we want to explore scientifically. And that's about all I can say about that, but it's huge.
I think you're going to validate it. I think you're going to validate it. Really.
Oh, yeah. It's
seriously
about ready to explode here with that.
Well, when any person or any animal is absorbing nutrients and absorbing the actual food, there's less of that in the waste, which is going to attract less flies. So, I mean, it seems like a win-win situation. You know, you've stumbled upon common sense and you're shouting it from the rooftops, and you just got to get the ears. You know, seriously.
Well, it comes down to when we found the smell thing. We were standing around, and a 9-year-old girl said, "Mr. Mark, I don't smell any crap." And I think, like, what? You know, you can't say crap. And and sure enough, she was right. You couldn't smell it. Then all of a sudden, it clicked with us that what's going on. And then we started looking into it further, and there was no smell. And then we started looking at what's the market looking for? A reduction in CO2. And what happens, like that one I told you that had all the cattle and had the manure problem. Their biggest problem was smell, man. If you go to a feedlot in Texas or anywhere, you can smell it before you see it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if I can get rid of that smell, what's that worth to you? What's that worth to you? So what I do is when I was got the list together for our sales staff, is that the questions I would ask, the first question I would ask was, because everybody says, what's your crude protein? Well, you know what? What's your crude protein? What are you using? Well, I use corn. Well, okay, then that's your crude protein. Now, what if I could tell you that you could reduce that from 50% down to 20%? And the rest would be SGP plus with no hay, with no minerals, we found simple things like, why aren't they using the salt licks? They don't, because usually put a block of salt out there. It's what's called a salt lick, and they'll lick the salt. And then so I asked the test ranch we have, I said, are you finding that they're using the salt lick? I look around, no, they're not. It's the same size it was a month ago. So cattle know what they need, and they aren't going after the salt licks. Why? Because we got enough minerals in our product. We got 72 ionic minerals and trace minerals. It's incredible. So, anyways, that's like.
It's great. That's great.
I hope I answered this question.
Yeah, and I want to say, because I have a couple more questions, but shout out to everybody that's here watching right now. I'm really proud of our BFC base here, because you know what? I got to say, they do ask really good questions. And shout out to you guys for really bringing it today, especially on such short notice. So holy calf. Ha ha ha. And what was it? Who said about my joke? They said something funny. I don't know. It was funny. That was utterly funny or something like that. Who the heck was that? That was utterly funny. Kelly O'Neill. How you doing, Kelly? Hope you're well. All right. Let's get into a couple more questions. I had marked a couple here. Okay, SGP for hogs or other animals.
For hogs at this point, I would say no, because hogs have a similar digestive system to humans, and they can get constipated, and we need to do more testing on that. If we supplied everybody with SGP plus for cattle, it'd be enormous. But for hogs right now, I would say that I don't have enough information. Are there other animals that we could feed it to? We have 300 goats at our test ranch. They will eat it, but when it gets dry outside, they have a tendency to the meat turns out really well, but they have a tendency to get plugged up, and so we need to do more testing there. What I do know is that it is very good for cattle, for calves. I mean, you can. I don't want to change the subject here, but you can take a calf and wean it off the mama cow much faster when the mama cow has been on SGP plus. And and where does any baby get its immune system and its way of digesting, and that is from the mama cow.
Yep.
If you can get the calf off the mama cow faster, then that mama cow will produce more calves. And when you go to a lot of these ranches, the first thing I ask them is, what's your revenue source? Well, I sell, I beef out cows and I to about 1,200 pounds, and I sell them to a big ranch. Okay, that's your revenue source. A lot of them, all of them, watch their calves and the growth of their calves because that's another revenue source. The mama cows are producers. I mean, what better way? I mean, I've had companies that I've had to buy my inventory. They all of a sudden start having calves, and your inventory grows. And yes, you have to feed the cows, but it's an amazing thing. And right now, I think for hogs and for other animals, I would like to do the studies, and I will do the studies because I'm encouraged to feed everyone. And what's the ultimate goal? To feed humans.
Yep.
And what better thing is to take vegetable protein, have it processed by a cow, so it turns into meat, so it feeds a human. That's an incredible thing. So
yeah. Well, great answer. Lisa Matthews has a question. If we live in Louisiana, can we pick it up personally?
Anytime, just give us a call.
You hear that, Lisa? Lisa, Queen of DD Matthews.
Yeah,
one of my favorites.
Just call. I mean, make sure that we're not in production. But I'll tell you what, our guys, they'll do anything to satisfy the customer.
Yeah. Think about the benefits of the products from the cattle being fed SGP plus to humans. That's why we're excited about Nutrimastic. So I'm just looking through the questions here. Oh, here's a good question. Is one of your salesmen going to be at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo?
I think we'll probably have about 9 of them there.
Oh, wow.
They're already signed up, and they are in every show in the United States until June, and that is growing.
Wow, that's a great answer. Yeah. Mark, I hope you enjoyed that answer. Mark Racy, that is.
Yeah, great question.
Excellent. All right. And here is Jess again. Mark, when do you start actively marketing the fertilizer byproduct for plants? When do you anticipate that?
You know what? If anybody wanted to try it right now, I can make arrangements that you can get it. But probably we're looking at summer. And I can tell you that even India is interested in right now. So it's an incredible product. So if somebody can give me good test results, like I had a guy, very, very prominent guy, tell me, he says, what about on deer? I said, well, up in Michigan, we feed deer carrots. He said, oh, carrots, what are you talking about? I said, well, here's my point. I'd be willing to work with somebody as long as it's not 2 guys in a hut. I got to get good information. So I'm yet to find somebody that I could get good information on will deer eat it. I think they will. I think it will be very beneficial. Down here in Louisiana, they like the moss that comes off the tree. Well, they like soft stuff. Well, up in Michigan, they don't like soft stuff. They like carrots, as I said earlier. So this guy actually has somebody that raises deer for sale, and because he'll put them out and he'll sell it to people that want to put it on their property. And I expect to see him soon. And I said, that guy, I would give a super sack to try, as long as I get feedback. I can't give it to you if I don't get something in return. So that's where we're at with that.
Hey, I nominate Lisa Matthews to be the guinea pig. You see Mark when you do your garden. That's what I say. So, and she will too. She will. Lisa's great person. So I hope you guys have a chance to meet.
That'd be great.
All right. How about chicken feed?
Well, my science department told me that they read that there's a guy in Japan that is feeding bagasse to chickens. Now I thought chickens, they have a gizzard and they eat pebbles, and I didn't think they would eat it, but his chickens do very well on it. And again, it's getting to the point. What's top on my goal right now? Top of my goal is cattle.
Yep.
And if I have a chicken farmer a rancher that wants to try it, and he can show me that he can give me feedback on it and good quality feedback, then I'd be willing to extend him a hand.
Got it. And Lisa Matthews has accepted. She says absolutely. So I hope you
Yep.
guys get to connect in the next couple weeks to a month, or when it's actually not cold down in Louisiana.
It's going to be a while. We had I think 18 degrees last night.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
All right. Actually, Gary, here's the question. And any news about using the product to lessen grain shipping loss? I know
Yes.
we touched on that briefly last time a little bit.
Yeah, we yes, there is. And we're dealing with a company that does that, and they're one of the biggest. And something for people to think about. Our product kills H. pylori, and we have lab tests that show that, and particularly that lab that I'm talking about. And when they put a load of material of agricultural product into a ship, they'll have 25% of it will be lost in rot. Then they have higher insurance rates because that rot turns into methane and starts fires. So if I can go in there and stop that rot, and I can go in there and stop the insurance, the high insurance because of methane, I think we will have accomplished something. And that can be, everybody knows how much agriculture is shipped out of Louisiana, and tons of it. I mean, it's all coming out of the Mississippi because that's the cheapest way to get it down, to transport it. And so I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. I think that's a great answer. And you know what? One thing, guys, don't forget about the oil spill thing too. We talked about that last episode, and we don't have to. We're not going to get into that today. But you are really, really honing in on a lot of uses for your product, and it's not just about the cattle. It's about really the overall process of from the farm right to your plate. Not to mention just the cattle aspect, but the oil cleanups, the grain, saving the grain, shipping, all that stuff. Like every time I think I got it sort of wrapped up for IFUS, I'm like, oh wait, I forgot about this, or I forgot about that. That's sort of how it works. But that's it, guys. Thank you for joining. I mean, these are great questions. Thank you to my audience for being here. Mark, thanks for joining me on Buffalo Fireside Chats. I appreciate you. I appreciate your passion, and I appreciate your efforts that you are doing going across the country and getting the word out for this amazing product.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the time. And anybody that we talked about today, you've got my 800 number, and give us a call. If I don't answer, somebody else will. But we have every intention of making this thing fly.
Yeah, and one more thing. When you do get more feedlots, if you want to make an announcement, send us a short and we'll air it live right here on the BFC, just so we could keep your shareholder base and potential shareholders in the loop on the happenings at Impact Fusion International.
I will.
Mark, take care. Get this guy out of here. Get him out of here. All right, that is all I got. This was a really, really good time. We could talk about a couple other stocks. I know there was a little bit of a sell-off on IGPK. Whatever, that's fine. You know what? I want that gap at 27 to fill anyways. I circled it. I put it in the Discord. I'm like, just be careful for this. Gapped up twice. Got to be careful. Watch those sellers. I am an ABQQ now, and I marched in at 24. So if you guys are following me from the Discord, we could talk about this stuff in the Discord. I'm not going to give away all the secrets. All right, and IFUS, I haven't sold a share yet, and I'm not going to because that company is going places. Loved having Mark on; it was great. Doubled my position in ILIS, and I have an order in for CYBL for 1.625 million shares. I'm hoping that picks up, and there's a couple others on the radar. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email at buffalofiresidechats@gmail.com. Hit me up on Twitter, or hey, join the Discord. Check out the Patreon. Join the club. And, there's lots of opportunities. We're doing a lot more swing plays, but we're also going to have a lot of private placement opportunities in 2024. So it's just it's great to be growing with you guys, and I'm excited for it. Glad we were able to do this surprise show. I hope you guys all stay warm if you're up here or wherever. I mean, heck, Louisiana is cold. It's cold everywhere. Cold front across this whole country. So stay warm, stay well. And remember, guys, there's more that binds us than breaks us. Peace out.